They say you can learn everything about a person by how they treat someone who has nothing to offer them. If that's true, then tonight, in a ballroom dripping with gold-plated arrogance and carefully curated smiles, Derek Langford showed the world exactly who he really was. The Langford Foundation Charity Gala had just begun. Champagne flutes clinked beneath crystal chandeliers, and billionaires in tuxedos exchanged fake laughter over auction bids and startup gossip. Cameras flashed, influencers posed, and everyone knew exactly which side of the velvet rope they belonged on. And then, out of nowhere, it happened. The music stopped. Conversations froze. Derek Langford, the man who'd built an empire of tech and control, stood on stage and pointed across the room. At her, Monica Reeves, 35, quiet, black, wearing the black and white uniform that made her invisible to every guest in the room. His voice echoed through the hall like a gavel. "Security! Stop her! She's not leaving until she opens her bag." Monica didn't move. "My Patek Philippe is missing," he added, loud enough for the reporters to hear. "Limited edition. $125,000, and she was the only one in my private office today." Phones lifted. Whispers turned into sharp murmurs. She just stood there, still as stone, and then, calmly, she stepped forward. No panic, no pleading, just the faintest smile pulling at the corner of her lips. "Are you accusing me publicly?" she asked, her voice low, almost too calm. "Yes," Derek said, "unless you'd rather I call the LAPD and let them empty your bag." That's when Monica pulled something out of her pocket. Not the watch, not her ID, her phone. She unlocked the screen, opened Instagram Live, and tapped Go Live. "Good evening," she said, lifting the phone to face her. "My name is Monica Reeves. I've been working in this house for 11 months, and tonight, the man behind me made a mistake he's going to regret." And just like that, 30 seconds into a live stream, one of the most powerful men in California stepped straight into the trap of his own arrogance. Before tonight, no one at the Langford Foundation Gala had ever noticed Monica Reeves. She'd walked past them dozens of times, carrying folded linens, clearing champagne flutes, adjusting the temperature in the VIP room, all without a single guest remembering her face. And that's exactly how she wanted it. For the last 11 months, Monica had worked as a housekeeper and event aide inside the Langford estate, a sprawling $38 million Beverly Hills mansion that looked more like a modern art museum than a home. Everything was white: the floors, the walls, the piano, even the imported orchids that were swapped out weekly. To most people, Monica was just the maid. Someone who appeared, cleaned, disappeared. No history, no story, no power. But they were wrong. Monica Reeves held a degree in sociology and investigative journalism from Howard University. Before taking the job at Langford's estate, she had worked for an independent media outlet that covered systemic discrimination and abuse of power. Her most recent article, an exposé on wage theft among domestic workers, had made some serious noise online, until the site was mysteriously shut down, and Monica was laid off without warning. Bills piled up. Her mother needed surgery. Her sister lost her job. And Monica, she needed answers. And rent money. That's when the Langford listing showed up. Live-in housekeeper, discretion required, immediate hire. It wasn't just a job, it was an opportunity. One that felt too convenient. Derek Langford, tech CEO turned social elite, was infamous in quiet circles. People said he had cleaned house after a scandal a few years ago. Others said he had a gift for making inconvenient employees vanish from the industry. No lawsuits ever stuck. No HR cases made it past internal review. Monica had a hunch. He wasn't just wealthy, he was a dangerous. So she applied, got the job, moved in, and began documenting everything. Every offhand comment, every meeting, every employee he pressured, every racial microaggression cloaked in fake compliments. She memorized his schedule, noted who came and went, and studied the hierarchy of silence that surrounded him. She wasn't the only one who noticed the patterns. The cook, Marta, had once whispered, "Careful, Miss Monica. He's kind with one hand and cruel with the other." There was also Jordan Harper, a 22-year-old intern who worked in Derek's personal media team. At first glance, Jordan was everything Derek wanted: young, eager, white, and obedient. But underneath the surface, Jordan had his own doubts. He'd seen emails vanish. He'd watched footage edited out of context. He'd been told to lie, to cover, to pretend. And then he noticed Monica. Not the uniform. Her eyes. The way she listened without reacting. The way she was always there, yet somehow invisible. Over time, Jordan began to suspect Monica wasn't just cleaning. She was watching, calculating, waiting. But for what? That answer came tonight when Derek accused her in front of everyone. Now, as Monica stood on live stream with thousands beginning to tune in, Derek didn't see the maid anymore. He saw a problem he couldn't control. What he didn't know was that tonight wasn't a breakdown. It was a reveal, because Monica had spent nearly a year walking the halls of privilege and arrogance, collecting the very thing that always escapes, the powerful receipts. The ballroom had gone silent. Every guest, every server, every camera operator froze in place. Glasses halfway to lips, conversations cut mid-laugh, as Monica's voice echoed from her phone's tiny speaker. "My name is Monica Reeves. I've been working in this house for 11 months. And tonight, the man behind me made a mistake he's going to regret." Derek Langford's face twitched, like someone had slapped him with an invisible hand, but it didn't stop him. He stepped forward, confident, rehearsed, righteous. His tailored tuxedo sharp, his jaw clenched. "Turn that off," he snapped. "You're not allowed to film inside this event. You're staff. You signed a non-disclosure." "Actually," Monica said, not even looking at him, "I signed nothing. I was never given a contract. Just a list of duties and a key to the servants' quarters." Gasps again. "Derek," Savannah, his wife, leaned in close. "There are press people here." But Derek didn't care. He was too far in now. "This woman," he declared to the room, "is trying to humiliate me because she knows she's guilty. She stole a 6-figure watch from my private office, and now she's using social media to paint herself as a victim." Classic. He turned to Monica. "You people are all the same. You think crying racism is a get-out-of-jail-free card, but not this time. Not in my house." That's when Monica finally turned to face him, slow, measured. Her phone still raised, her expression unreadable. "You're absolutely right, Mr. Langford," she said quietly. "This is your house." "Damn right it is," he snapped. "Then tell me—" She tilted her head slightly. "Why's your office missing a keycard log entry from last night? Why did security footage from that wing suddenly disappear this morning? Why did you hold a staff-only meeting 3 days ago where you told everyone not to speak to reporters?" The air shifted. Somewhere in the back of the room, someone whispered, "Wait, what?" Derek's eyes narrowed. "You've got no proof." "I do," Monica said, tapping her screen. I backed up every recording and time-stamped every entry. Want to see the security footage? Or should I let my viewers finish analyzing it in real time? This is outrageous, Derek barked. You're a liar. You're a... Careful, she said, her voice still low. The more you talk, the more this room will realize exactly who you are. The tension snapped like a rubber band. Savannah grabbed Derek's arm. You need to stop. Right now. But Derek yanked away, eyes burning. You want to play games? He said, turning to the guests. Fine. Let's ask the staff. He pointed to the corner of the ballroom where several uniformed workers stood frozen. Which one of you saw her near my office? Go ahead, speak up. Silence. Then, a voice. Sir? It was Marta, the head cook. Elderly, soft-spoken, loyal. Until now. Miss Monica never stepped foot in your office. Not once. And I know because I see everything. Another voice chimed in. Travis, the head of security, his expression stiff. I reviewed the logs this morning. The cameras were wiped, not by her, by someone with level 7 access. That was Derek's level. The audience murmured louder. Reporters began recording. Monica didn't say another word. She simply stepped forward, holding her phone up like a torch, letting the silence work for her. She didn't need to scream. She didn't need to cry. She let him unravel. You're done, Derek hissed. You think this little stunt makes you a hero? You're nothing. You're a maid. Monica looked at him, the corners of her lips twitching ever so slightly. Then you should have treated me like one, because the moment you decided I was disposable, you made yourself replaceable. And with that, she turned to the crowd, eyes scanning the faces of people who used to ignore her. Not anymore. The live viewer count passed 40,000. Derek had played the wrong card, in front of the wrong woman, on the wrong night, and Monica had only just begun. The live feed crossed 58,000 viewers. Every second that passed felt heavier than the last. But Monica, she stood perfectly still, calm, unreadable, like she had rehearsed this moment 100 times in her head. Because she had. Derek Langford, red-faced and cornered, kept pacing like a CEO who still believed he was in charge. You think live streaming slander will save you? He sneered. When this is over, I'll bury you in lawsuits. Monica raised an eyebrow. You'll have to stand in line. There are a few other people ahead of you. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small black case, snapped it open. Inside were 2 flash drives, each marked with a single date. She handed one to Travis, the head of security, who hesitated for a moment, then took it. Check this with your system, she said. You'll find raw, unedited footage from the hallway cameras before they mysteriously disappeared this morning. Travis swallowed hard. How did you... You're not the only one who knows how to access server backups, she replied. Then she turned toward the media table. And this, Monica said, holding up the second drive, is audio from a private staff meeting last week. The one where Mr. Langford instructed his managers to identify a fall person in case the foundation's finances came under audit. The reporters leaned in. Derek's hands trembled just slightly. That's fabricated, he said. Then you won't mind if we play it? Monica asked, already connecting the drive to a portable speaker. A few seconds of static. Then Derek's unmistakable voice filled the air. If anything leaks from the Panama account, we throw someone under the bus. Pick someone no one will defend. Someone disposable. I don't care if they're innocent. The crowd gasped. A man in the back, a senator judging by the pin on his lapel, muttered, "Oh, Hell no! Savannah looked like she'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. Then, from the edge of the ballroom, a new voice spoke up. "Ms. Reeves." It was Jordan, the intern. His hands shook slightly, but his voice was clear. "I have something to add." Derek turned on him instantly. "Jordan, don't." But it was too late. Jordan pulled out a tablet and mirrored it to the gala's projection screen. With a few taps, dozens of screenshots of email chains and internal memos appeared, each one confirming what Monica had said. One showed an email from Derek to the foundation's CFO. "If we cut the community fund and shift the blame to internal theft, the board won't ask questions. That cleaning lady's still around, right?" The room was no longer silent. People were murmuring, stepping back, cell phones recording. Whispers turned into outrage. Monica took a breath, not out of nerves, but timing. She turned to Travis again. "You always seem like the kind of man who knew right from wrong. Are you going to stand behind him now, or with the truth?" Travis looked at Derek, then at Monica, then at the USB drive still in his hand, and he nodded. "I'll take this to the compliance team immediately." Derek lunged forward. "You're fired!" But the words sounded empty, powerless, even pathetic. Savannah spoke next, finally stepping forward. "Derek," she said slowly, "if even half of this is real, you've just destroyed everything our name was built on. You're my wife," he hissed. "Not tonight." Then she turned to Monica. "I was wrong about you," Savannah said, "and I'm sorry." It wasn't heartfelt, but it was something. And Monica? She nodded, not with forgiveness, but with acknowledgement, as if to say, "I didn't need your apology, but I'll take your honesty." The projector dimmed. The room held its breath. Then Monica looked straight into her phone camera. "This is just the beginning," she said. "Tonight, we stop pretending that power equals integrity, and we stop letting people like him write our stories for us." The feed hit 75,000 live viewers. The rebellion wasn't loud. It wasn't violent. It didn't need to be. It was precise. And it was working. The room had shifted. Where once there was champagne and idle chatter, now there was only breathless stillness and a growing sense that something irreversible was unfolding. The screen behind Monica dimmed to black. The projector flickered off. And for the first time that evening, everyone truly saw her. Not the maid, not the servant, but the woman who had just cracked the foundation beneath one of California's most powerful men, with nothing more than a phone, a plan, and the truth. Derek Langford stood frozen. He wasn't yelling anymore. He wasn't mocking, commanding, or accusing. He was waiting, hoping the nightmare might still end. But Monica wasn't done. She stepped forward. No mic, no projection, just her voice. Now, low and steady like distant thunder rolling in. "Some of you are wondering who I am," she said, eyes scanning the room. "You've heard enough tonight to know I'm not just the maid." She reached into her bag again, this time pulling out a worn leather folder, unclipped it, held up a press badge. Monica E. Reeves, former investigative journalist, Washington Bureau, Capitol Witness magazine, credentialed, published, respected, until I investigated the wrong campaign donor and suddenly lost my platform. There was a visible jolt in the room. Several faces turned toward the senator at the back. He stiffened. "After that," Monica continued, "I couldn't get to work. No outlet would touch me. I went from interviews on cable news to sending cold pitches no one read. And when the rent came due, I saw the Langford listing." She paused, Let it breathe. Live in Maid. Discretion required. No experience necessary. It didn't take a genius to connect the dots. She stepped toward Derek. You weren't hiding, Mr. Langford. You were operating in plain sight. You didn't need to cover your tracks because people like me don't exist in your world. We clean it, quietly, invisibly. Her voice hardened ever so slightly. And that's what made you sloppy. She turned to the guests now, CEOs, socialites, board members, all staring like they'd just seen a ghost walk the road. Over the last 11 months, I documented wage fraud, discrimination, embezzlement through your foundation, and personal testimony from over 17 employees who were terminated after reporting abuse or misconduct. Some of them are here tonight. And then, right on cue, a small group stepped forward from the edge of the ballroom. 5 men, 3 women, uniforms, clipboards, server trays. Former staff who were never meant to be seen again. Derek took a step back. Monica raised her phone again, aiming it not at him this time, but at the room. You want to talk about theft? She asked. Let's talk about the $3.2 million funneled through shell nonprofits that never held a single event. She turned to Savannah now. You signed those checks. Savannah's hand went to her mouth. She staggered back like the words had slapped her. Then Monica faced the crowd once more. Everything I've shown tonight, emails, video, wire transfers, it's already with legal counsel. It's already been verified. What you're witnessing isn't a claim. It's a confession, compiled piece by piece, by someone you never thought would have the power or the audacity to hold you accountable. And then came the twist that left even the reporters speechless. Monica walked over to the grand piano. Tucked just beneath the bench, wrapped in a cloth, was the missing watch, still ticking. She picked it up carefully, holding it with 2 fingers as if it reeked of irony. For the record, she said, you dropped this in the ballroom bathroom 2 nights ago. I found it and placed it here because I wanted to see exactly how far you'd go to bury someone like me. She dropped the watch into Derek's stunned, outstretched hand. You accused the wrong woman. Derek looked like he might collapse. His face had gone gray. His lip twitched. You ruined me, he whispered. Monica's eyes narrowed. Number, you did that yourself? I just made sure the lights were on when it happened. The room was dead silent. Every camera was pointed at her now. And Derek Langford, the man who once built a billion-dollar empire with data, control, and fear, stood in a spotlight he couldn't escape, exposed by the very woman he had tried to erase. And she was just getting started. The moment the watch dropped into Derek Langford's trembling hands, the mask shattered, and with it, his empire. The ballroom didn't erupt. It didn't need to. The silence alone was deafening. Phones buzzed with push notifications. Breaking. Tech billionaire. Accused of fraud and discrimination at Gala live stream. Langford Foundation under fire. Whistleblower goes public in real time. The guest list, once a parade of prestige, now looked like a list of liabilities. Senators, executives, donors, each one suddenly aware that they were being watched, too. Savannah Langford stepped away from her husband as if he were radioactive. She smoothed the wrinkles on her designer dress, then turned to the nearest camera and spoke just 5 words. I had no prior knowledge. Cowardice, Monica thought, but expected. The live stream had passed 120,000 live viewers. Monica stepped away from the center, her part almost done. But what came next wasn't in her hands. It was in theirs. That's when Travis, the head of security, spoke up. His voice, quiet but clear, cut through the air. "I'm submitting my resignation effective immediately," he said, walking toward Monica. "And I'll be providing your legal team with internal records, including deleted surveillance archives and staffing rosters. I should have said something sooner." He held out a flash drive. Monica took it, nodding. "Thank you." Then, Jordan, the young intern, approached her as well. "I've already emailed 3 journalists everything I know. If you need a statement, I'll testify. You were the only one who paid attention to what was really going on." Behind them, the projection screen lit up again. This time not with Monica's footage, but national coverage. A CNN anchor reporting in real time. The fallout from tonight's Langford Foundation Gala is growing by the minute as allegations of embezzlement, racial discrimination, and systemic abuse flood social media. Just then, a woman in a janitor's uniform, mid-50s, dark circles under her eyes, stepped into the light. "My name's Sheila," she said. "He fired me 2 years ago after accusing me of stealing printer ink. I lost everything. Slept in my car for months. Miss Reeves, you just gave me my name back." Monica didn't reply. She couldn't. Her throat had tightened. She wasn't here for applause, but this ripple effect, was what she had risked everything for. In the span of one night, Derek Langford's personal and professional accounts were frozen pending investigation. The Langford Foundation was placed under federal review. Major sponsors withdrew funding. 3 board members resigned by morning. And Monica? She didn't run to the press. She walked with them. By dawn, 4 major outlets had offered her op-ed space. Her inbox overflowed with speaking invitations. Civil rights attorneys reached out to build class action suits, not just against Langford, but against the entire system of silent complicity he represented. She returned home just after sunrise. Not to the mansion, to a 1-bedroom apartment she shared with her younger sister and her niece. And that morning, sitting at her tiny kitchen table, Monica Reeves opened her laptop and began writing again. The headline of her new article read, "Power isn't real until you take it back." And as it was published, shared, and cited by universities and newsrooms across the country, Monica didn't just reclaim her voice. She handed microphones to every woman who had ever been told to stay quiet, keep her head down, and clean up someone else's mess. 6 months later. The ballroom that once echoed with champagne laughter and quiet cruelty now sat empty, its marble floors stripped bare, the chandelier dark, cold, and still. A for sale sign hung outside the Langford estate. The man who once ruled that world, Derek Langford, was under federal indictment. His accounts were frozen. His friends had vanished. His legacy reduced to a headline no one wanted to be associated with. But this story isn't about Derek. It never really was. Across the city, inside a modest university auditorium in downtown Los Angeles, Monica Reeves stood behind a podium, her voice calm and unwavering, as rows of students leaned forward in silence. She wasn't there to relive the scandal. She was there to explain what came after. "The hardest part," she began, "wasn't exposing him. It was staying silent while I prepared to do it right." She paused, letting the words hang like quiet truth. "I knew people would doubt me, I knew the system would protect him, and I knew that if I spoke too soon, I'd lose everything. So I waited, I watched, I documented, because that's what they never expect from people like me. Strategy. Students scribbled. Phones recorded. But Monica wasn't here for clout. She was here for impact. People like Derek don't just get away with abuse because they're rich. They get away with it because too many people stay quiet, out of fear, out of fatigue, or because they think no one's going to believe them anyway. Her gaze swept the room. But silence isn't safety. It's surrender. And I didn't survive everything I've been through just to stay quiet. Applause began slowly, then grew. Here's what I learned, she said. Power isn't always loud. It's not about yelling the truth. It's about preparing it so thoroughly, so unshakably that when you speak, the whole room listens. She smiled, not in triumph, but in peace. So if there's one thing I hope you remember, Monica said, it's this. Never let someone else tell your story. Never let them define your worth. And never ever let them mistake your silence for permission. A standing ovation followed. But Monica simply gathered her notes, stepped down from the podium, and walked off stage without a word. She had said enough, and this time, the world was finally listening. What would you have done if you were in Monica's position? Stay silent to keep your job, or risk everything to expose the truth? Have you ever witnessed injustice but felt powerless to speak up? Share your thoughts below and let's talk about the cost of staying quiet versus fighting back.